QuickBooksOnline.com. So I'm in this particular plus level file, right? I'm in through QBO, and this is just more of a item-based file, if you will. It's a pet shop, but they also do room and board. We should probably talk about bundle items too. Group items, aka group items from desktop. Let me not forget that. So I'll do that after the inventory workflow. Excuse me, I am, here we go, bundle items. It's just there, won't take us long, but anyway. So I'm going to the gear icon, and I want to start in account and settings. Let's just look at some settings that are related to items, an activity that we just mentioned here I'm going to cover, and then we'll dive into the product and service list, spend some time there, go through some transaction workflow, etc. If you have questions, please ask. So gear icon, account and settings, this will be like what? Edit, preferences. Yeah. And there are some item-based settings. I do want to talk about customizing look and feel. I have that down too. That's important. So yeah, maybe we'll go an hour today, but I won't go over, I promise. Item-based settings are more under products and services. You know, I mean, the sales form content, yes, you can add a service date. So I might not have, I forgot to show that last week, but you can add a service date column to like invoices and sales receipts. That might be helpful, or a discount, taking a deposit. I'm not really sure if that's really key for product-based business. I don't think so. I think it's mostly this one. So I can turn SKU on. I do turn a SKU column on. It's been in there for a while because I like to use that for other metrics. You might use it for manufacturer part number or vendor number or something like that. And there are a few new fields that have been added to the product service field, like a default class, as well as, and this is where you turn inventory quantity on hand, very important. So the show product service column on sales forms is usually always there. And then here's where I turn price rules on. That's basically price levels. We'll look at that. I created one for today. And you can track quantity and price and rate even in essentials, but the inventory quantity on hand is plus, right? And I'll show you two-sided items. That's actually not a setting. That's just at the item level. If your client is progress invoicing, that's in beta, but that's there. But I don't think you're really using estimates a lot with items, but you might. I mean, I know it's an item-based template. What I mean is if you're pass-through, unless you're pass-through time and expense or contractor, you're probably going to estimate a lot, unless you use it as a workaround for a sales order, which we don't have. I mean, we don't have sales order. We don't have build. We do not have build assembly. We do not have unit of measure in QuickBooks Online Plus, right? Those things would be great. Even unit of measure would be great. You know, I typically use description field, something like that, or even SKU because it's a column. I would love unit of measure, but that just makes sense to me. But anyway, why it's not there, I can't say. Sales order workflow would be great too. Not there. Some people use a delayed charge. Maybe I'll show that as well. But these are your item-based settings, right? And where you turn inventory on. And if you don't see that, then you're probably in Essentials or Simple Start, right? So the other item-based settings, it's more for the service-based, but we're talking product-based today, but still, just wanted to do this. In Plus, you have the Show Items table on expense and purchase forms. So this turns on two-sided items, right? This is what allows it. Then we'll go into the product service list. You know, and then we went over this last week, but basically Show Items table on cost forms. On a check, a bill, credit card expense, not just account details, but item details. Right? Whether you're passing it through or not, who cares? It's just about, because that's available, we went over that last week. I'm just talking about if you're purchasing items, if you're purchasing inventory, you want to go ahead and turn this on. Okay? And then under advanced, don't really have tons of stuff. We went over class and location last week. We won't really address that. But there is you can have a default class at the item level now, which is pretty cool. I'll show you that. And then, you know, your product-based businesses are doing a lot with sales receipts, but they're probably doing a lot with invoices. So if they don't really need to choose what, you know, if you're passing something through, like a purchase of materials, because that's item related, and you're passing that through to an invoice, I mean, you can automate that. And you can also automate it at the recurring transaction level. You know. So we know the 3 sales forms available in QBO, or estimate, which is non-posting, and you have the sales receipt and the invoice. And then you also have the ability to turn on purchase orders, right? And that's going to impact inventory. That also is plus only. And yes, I can have 3 custom fields for a purchase order. Custom fields are only at the top part of the sales forms, or just for whatever reason, we gave that ability also to purchase orders, right? But I can't do custom fields yet at the item level, which is why you might turn SKU on, right? and I can't do custom fields yet at the name level. It's going to be on the sales form itself. We'll come back to customizing sales forms in a bit. But those are the main settings, I would say, for item-related activity or events. Right? So you turn those on. Now let's go to the products and services list. You can either get here under the gear icon, because it is a list, or, and I might as well go to all lists just to show some other things. Under products and services, because I've turned them both on, I have categories, which is automatically on now, and it's like a main item, child item, right, or sub-item, parent-child relationship. That's what category stands for, and I'll show you that too. It really helps with visibility of the list itself, so we'll look at that. And then I have price rules as well as under products and services. So you can get there too, right? Or you can go to sales, and you'll see products and services is the fourth option on the right. You probably knew that though. Now, first thing that I find interesting, which we changed probably a year ago, I thought that was pretty exciting, is stock status. So right away at the top, I see I have 3 items low stock and 1 out of stock. This only impacts inventory type products and services. Now, what do I mean by type? Because we know in desktop, you do have all these different item types: service, non-inventory, inventory, other charge. Would love to have other charge in QBO. And these are enhancements that I want, that I'm just mentioning to you. It's just not in there. Other charge, you have all these different item types in desktop. In QBO, we kind of made it that way, over the last year and a half, because when you do a new item, you do have 4 kind of types: inventory, which we'll look at, non-inventory, service, and a bundle, the group item. That's akin to the group item in, say, Pro. Okay? And why it's important, we'll cover that. Usually use these for, like, pass-through time expense or 2-sided items, or you're reselling. That's great. And then inventory. Right? So those are the kind of the subtypes within the products and services themselves. Now I'm going to drill in on low stock, and we're going to focus on these cat accessories and the Z bedding. Actually, let me clear the filter. Hold on. Categories, really important. Under the More tab, you have categories. It's essentially like the main item for a section. And this is great because you can filter reports by it, and when we're on a sales transaction or purchase, you can search for it. Right? I can just search for CAT, C-A-T, and it'll bring up all the items I can scroll through in the item field on a form for CAT accessories. So you would come in and create your categories. It's pretty easy. It's just the name, and you could do subcategories, but I leave it as main for whatever reason, and I've created CAT accessories, cat treats, dog and cat toys, dog attire, etc. Actually, I have a friend, Valerie. She's a colleague of ours, on the product specialist team. You might know her, Valerie Heckman, and she uses this file a lot. She's a huge fan of cats. So she's added a lot of these too. But I got pet furniture, I got staff, like more administrative treatments we do here. So I created the categories. And then what's nice is you can assign them, and under the little gear icon, I can group by category. So the list, I have probably, 50, 60 items. But if I had several hundred or 1,000, 2,000 items, category is helpful because I can filter this list by category to find stuff. Okay? So you have that as well, and I usually make the list compact. And, do you want to show quantity on PO? There's some visibility you have here. What income and expense account is it linked to? Things like that. So don't forget the little gear icon here. This list goes to Excel. So I have cat accessories. Again, I can filter this just by that particular category. And that's what I'm looking at. Just makes it easier. But I'm going to go ahead and drill in on clear the filter, and that's categories. Now, if you're coming over from desktop, it doesn't always default that, but there should be a pop-up that tells your client or you, hey, do you want to just switch from sub-items to categories? And I like it because you'll see it on the forms why. So I got a cardboard cafe and a cushion. I got a cozy blanket. Now, these are inventory items. We'll quickly look at non-inventory items, though we covered them last week for pass-through time and expense. But non-inventory 2-sided, that just means you have purchase as well as sales info. That's about it, right? You can use it on cost forms. So that net, that's 2-sided items. But the inventory is going to be 3-sided like in desktop. So we're going to look at the cardboard cafe, and then let's edit that. Tells me quantity on hand is 0, so that's the one out of stock, and then I have them coming close to. Cushion and the cozy blanket are coming close to the reorder point, right? So a couple things to point out on these items now. Name, clearly. SKU, again, what do you want to use that for? There's only so many lists. And people do this, we all do this with desktop too. There might be a list you're not using, but you want to filter a report, or report on, or track some other determiner, this is what we're using SKU for too. You just can't call it differently on the report, but and I can't change the name of the field, unfortunately, but it could be for something else. So turn SKU on because it shows up as a column on your sales forms. Now I can add pictures to my items in QuickBooks Online, and that's really an enterprise feature, right? And then I have the category, right? Class. If you use class tracking, not location but class, I can set a default class at the item. That's also an enterprise thing. Right? So we added a few things like that to items recently. So when I go purchase this on a purchase order in the cost forms, I should see the class auto-filled, right? I have quantity on hand. Here's where I can make some adjustments. Let's come back to that. But stock status, it all is from the reorder point. Okay, so you put in a reorder point. When it comes close to that, it'll be low. When it's 0, it'll be out of stock, right? And it shows the quantity that I have on PO. So some good visibility at the item record. And then, like I said, three-sided item hits inventory asset, revenue, and then also cost of goods sold, typically, or some expense, but mostly it's COGS, right? Now, there is a preferred vendor field now on items. Intermittently, though, I'm unable to get that to show up automatically. I'm not really sure what I'm doing wrong, so I wasn't really going to focus on that. But I'm hoping whatever it is that we resolve it so that when you go do a PO or a check or something, the preferred vendor comes up, because I know that was a request from people who use that in desktop a lot. And then your price rules you will see in the middle section that you have that are, that impact this particular part or item, if you will. Okay? Put in purchase and sales description, that'll come up that way. Now, let me talk about quantity and starting value adjustment. Quantity adjustment is just that. I can make a quantity adjustment and I can offset it to some kind of COGS account. And that is its own transaction now. So instead of quantity on hand, now we wouldn't want to do this. I'm not going to do this because I want to use a purchase order, send it to the vendor, and I want to actually use a check or a bill or a credit card expense, if you will. Right, to have that, not just an adjustment, but you can periodically and whenever you want make quantity adjustments, and they will impact the inventory value as well as the item itself, right? And you can tag a class and a location to it as well. So quantity adjustments is its own transaction type, which is great. The other thing that I wanted to mention is, if we go back there to edit that item, the value adjustment. Now, this is changing just the starting value adjustment. For those of you that are used to Pro, Premier, and Enterprise, where you have the ability to make a value adjustment and a quantity adjustment all in one. And you can do that periodically, for cost that changes or something like that. It's a great trick, great tool to use. This is just for the, okay, Woody put in a bunch of items, but the cost on several of them he had wrong when he entered it. So my beginning inventory value is off because of what he did wrong. So I want to go back and change the starting value. This is not meant to be an ongoing periodic value adjustment. This is like hopefully a one-time thing. That is how it was designed to be. So a little different from desktop. But it's, you can do it. It's just a value adjustment. Again, you're going to choose the offsetting account, hopefully not opening balance equity, but this would be a value. And I'm changing what my initial cost was for this, and you can backdate it too, which I really like. Okay? So that quantity adjustment and value adjustment regarding stock, regarding inventory is supported. Obviously in QBO Plus, the value adjustment is more of a one-time starting value because someone made a mistake when they first entered into QBO. Fair enough? Coming over from desktop, though, if you're converting, well, the value should be the value you had there, and there shouldn't be any big deal. All right, good to know. So back to low stock. And then I can't really think of anything else within the item itself to consider, but what I can do is I'm going to choose to purchase all three. I do have a vendor. It's a big pet vendor, just, and we're going to purchase all three. You can purchase, assuming the vendor's the same for all your items, you can do a batch purchase, if you will. You can also batch assign a category, right? So if you have a bunch of uncategorized items, you can assign them quickly. And when you turn categories on, everything will be uncategorized. So this is really helpful to check off things that you want to go in a category. And remember, categories allow that list to just be broken out, right, by the head item or whatever, okay, or department or what have you. Some people use this for inventory location. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and reorder. Now, and notice I have, this is what I was talking about, that preferred vendor. So it doesn't come up, and I'm not sure why at this point. So sorry about that, but eventually I'm hoping it will. You have I had the same preferred vendor on each of these products, didn't pre-fill, right? So I'm just going to do big pet vendor. And then notice when I mouse over, I also wanted to show this on purchase forms, whether they're non-posting like a purchase order estimate or delayed charge. And then also on sales forms, invoice, sales receipt, the posting transactions, check, bill, whatever. When you mouse over an inventory part in the quantity field, it's going to give you a pop-up. Now this is not current availability. This is just like Pro. In other words, what do you have or what do you not have? It's not concerned about what might be on sales orders or purchase orders. Premier and Enterprise do that. They have that little current availability icon when you're on a sales transaction. You can open it up and see what's available based on sales order and purchase order activity. But QuickBooks Desktop Pro and QBO Plus do not support that. Right? So remember, it's I did this blog recently on, you know, what are we really comparing QBO to? Granted, Premier and Enterprise, that's not where it is right now. It has some advantages to that. You look at with price rules and obviously mobility, bank feeds, and collaboration. I'm not, no file transfer. That's obvious stuff. But I mean, feature set, core feature set for a product-based business. Obviously, Premier and Enterprise is going to have the build assembly, unit measure, that kind of stuff. But Pro, we're really just an estimate to actual report away. With price level and progress invoice in beta and being rolled in, then QBO Plus is becoming more and more of a match for Pro. And I think that's just important to point out. Oh, inventory apps. I wanted to mention. I'll put that on the list too. Probably won't get to converting. That's okay because we have plenty. I'll go to apps.com and search inventory. And I'll mention my favorites. Take it with a grain of salt. You might have yours. But, I love SOS. I like Deer. I like Stitch Labs. Some are better with e-commerce than others. SOS is probably the most affordable that I've seen, but there's other ones too, even for like manufacturing and stuff. So if your client wants to be mobile, you don't have to do enterprise hosted. They can do QBO Plus with an app, and it's usually like a third of the cost a year. So, I mean, it's just stuff like that. Do they want to be mobile? Is that more critical than having like a build assemblies? Right? So there you go. And then just email your account manager, hey, what's the best app? Or what he was talking about SOS. Can I get a demo from them, etc. All right, anyway, see, item details, account details. I'm in the item detail, right? And I'm mousing over. I know that reorder point's 2. We're going to do 5. We're going to do, it'd be 6, so we're going to do 10. And then hopefully your clients have a better decision on when they need to order more and what, but this is visibility I have, or I could run some other reports. But I love seeing this right on hand. Reorder point's 4, and quantity on purchase order is 1 right now, and I have 4 now. So I guess I could bring in, another 5 or something. Or 3 if I wanted to be perfect with it. So you get some visibility on the form and things like that. Also class, when you're batch purchasing, the default class does not show up in the class field yet, but when I go to a expense form, it will default in there as these are retail items. Notice, see, category : item, and you can even search for that. I'll just show you, I can even start searching, like, let's do dog stuff. Just, start searching by categories, and then it'll take me in that part of the list. Dog attire, dog and cat toys, everything dog treats, right? These are categories. These are the items within them. So pretty cool to see and might be helpful to you too down the road. So let me delete this one, and we'll go ahead and save it, right? Because I wanted to show this. You can, we'll copy to a bill, or if I had a check, it would bring it up to a credit card expense. We'll copy to a bill. Why not? But I can do partial receiving. Let's jump to that, okay? And then we kind of covered inventory, 2-sided items. We'll look at bundle. We've definitely done categories. But I want to show the partial receiving against a PO. Also something Pro does. Was not in QBO for a long time. Now it is. So I'm going to click copy to bill. Or remember, right, because of the drawer, right? So I could add all, which I could do, or I could just do the one that I did today, which is probably at the bottom. Where are you? May. Oh, Oh, it's already on. Sorry. These are other ones, right? The drawer opens up when you have other purchase orders or things related to the bill, right? You can add them all, but I'm just going to close the drawer. Just remember the drawer. It's just trying to remind me, oh, wait a minute, I do have other things. So it's already added it to the bill. Now, I'm just going to do, though, let's just do 5 of these, all of those, and let's say we only brought in, actually, they only had like 2 of the cardboard things, right? So I'm going to click Save. I'm partially receiving against it. This will, right, debit inventory asset and credit accounts payable. That's what we should see behind the scenes. We have a linked transaction to the PO, which you can remove, or it's right there. We'll go back to the PO in a second that way, but I did want to quickly show you, and this is Bill. All right, you can always see behind the scenes what's being debited and credited by clicking on the More tab, Transaction Journal. This is like your Control Y report, just to make sure QBO is behaving from a double entry accounting system perspective, right? 3 items, 3 debits to inventory asset, which I would expect. Remember, this is FIFO. And then I have accounts payable credited, right? So that works out really well. So now this always brings me back to the report list. When I click back, it's not going to bring me back to the transaction, but quick way to get there, left click in the search field. It's just a good trick for anything. Your client say, hey, I just did a journal entry. You're like, what? You did a what? So you can just go into the file quickly and left click in the search field, and it's probably right there. It shows the last 10 transactions entered and then a bunch of reports customized in A to Z. Right? So I like the search field for that kind of stuff. So let's go back to the bill. We're good there. It balances and on both sides. That's good. And right. Let's go back to the purchase order. And we will see on the right what's been received and what's closed, which line is closed, which you can force close. Right? And I can copy the bill again, or I can go to check or a credit card expense or something like that too. So, you know, this is the partial receiving that's happening right there. Now, there's something else I want to do. And related reports we do with purchasing. But let me go to an expense. And this is how, there's no like banking menu, right? We're used to doing like enter credit card charge. This is a credit card expense. So I'm going to do big pet vendor, right? Drawer should open up with a purchase order of the remaining January, February, May 8th, right? That's the one. Now, if you have a description, you can see it a lot better. So I can go ahead and click add to that and bring that in. Yeah, see, still class doesn't show up. So I'm going to have to work on that one. But, you know, you do have a default class thing that could happen there and should happen. Not sure, but again, now I can use, if I had a check, the drawer would open again and I could receive against the PO. And you can receive in a partial way. Okay. And there is, let me go ahead and right-click, duplicate the tab I'm on. That's how you get another window. Then we'll look at selling. Let's see when COGS is debited. Go back to report list. I have the kind of there we go, an older report view. And you are going to go to review expenses and purchases. There's an open purchase order list, open purchase order detail, right? So there's 2 non-posting transactions. And then, of course, you have the expense by vendor, but really purchases by products and service or transaction list by vendor. Very helpful as well. Okay. So here's my purchase order from today. You can really customize these reports as well by clicking on the little gear icon and add more columns. Right. That's a non-posting type report. That's how you track PO. And it should show what's been received versus back ordered. I like that too. Kind of newish, if you will, 6 months, something like that. So back order tracking. Great. The other part of the inventory workflow I wanted to mention, now that we have the items, let's just say somebody came in, we'll look at a sales receipt, we'll look at customization, we'll look at a bundle item as well, and we'll just say that, you know, Christina came in and she wanted, you know, the cat cardboard cafe, right? So again, I'm looking for this particular, just start typing, or I could look at just like a particular, you know, start looking at, oh, I guess I could do treatments. I would look at all treatments that I have or something like that. Right. So again, I like the categories for that. But we'll do the cardboard cafe. Again, you can mouse over, shows what you got. Reorder point is 2 on hand. Great, so I can fulfill that. She wanted to do that. And then look, the class defaults, right? So I think it's like the batch purchase or batch selling. I'm sorry, batch purchasing. The class doesn't flow over. but you notice that the class does default when I'm just throwing it on a sales receipt or an invoice, right? So she ordered that. She also did, I think the cat tree is another. What was the other one? We had the cardboard house, cardboard cafe. Sure. I guess I don't have a default class for that. Anyway, save. At this point, just like in desktop, cost of goods sold will be debited. So you can go to more, transaction journal, right? And then I should see that. Cost of goods sold, and that's going to be based on first in, first out. So how much did I pay for the item when I bought it on that day or in that particular batch? Undeposited funds, because the sales sheet was going to there, I'm grouping my payments together into a deposit to deposit as a group later. And then inventory assets credited 3 times as we anticipate. You'll see COGS a couple times being hit. And again, it's first in, first out rules, right? Not average cost. And of course, sales tax credited too. So all that stuff is available, and you can see it for yourself as to make sure that it's behaving how you would anticipate. Back to products and services list, wanted to go to a particular item type, which is a bundle. You can filter the list by that too. Bundle items. I do have one, groom and board. Just so you know, it's important to look at this. You can create a group item. And this is, I mean, contractors love this on the service-based side because you just want to display not all the components, so I'm not checking this box to display bundle components when printing or sending transactions. Most often you're going to leave that unchecked. It's just going to be the sales info, the contract, or whatever. This is, for me, it's like at least 3-day stay required for free grooming. I could add other stuff, and this would be the default thing on the sales form that my client would see. It would say groom and board, the sales info, and the total amount. Just like group items in desktop, the bundle item is the sum of, or the total of the component parts. This is not a build assembly. A build assembly is where I can, build it and I can change the sales price how I want in the cost as I'm creating the item. And even in enterprise, you can do some variable builds and exploding bombs, or as they call it, where you have a bunch of sub-assemblies of assembly and stuff. That's enterprise. Premier also, some of the Premier SKUs like manufacturing wholesale also will solve for build assemblies. QBO Plus is just not going to do that, and the bundle is not that. It's a group item. You're selling a package together. You're not necessarily building it. I'm just putting a bunch of component parts, and I only want my customer to see this. But for me, it's the cost of whatever each item is, and it's the sales price of whatever each item is. And I can overwrite it on the sales form. So I have groom and board, right? But that's what that is, right? You're adding lines, and it's not just about inventory. I can add really any item type that I have. Staff hours, doggy shampoo, biscuits, whatever. Milk bones. Okay, so let's go ahead and save and close that. And on a invoice, we'll talk about customizing forms, and then we'll look at price rules, sales tax. Gone over some reporting already, but there's some valuation reporting that I want to mention as well, apps.com. And then we will do a little bit of converting and importing items in, because that'll come up. Let's say, we'll have Mike Ballack, and he is, sorry for the drawer, there's something linked to his name. That's what that drawer is about. Teach your clients to look there, but you don't necessarily always have to add it. Groom and board. So this is what he sees. Remember, this stuff he will not see. Your customer, and it's really faded, you can't see the font, but it says your customer won't see any of the items in this bundle. Right? That's because I didn't check the box. It's a great trick. I mean, for your contractor clients, service-based clients, resellers, product business, whatever you're selling, like a championship package for the Eagles or whatever, right? I don't know. This is what you can do. Have them create bundles. It's a great tip with QuickBooks in general. And for whenever they just want to make sure that their clients don't see the detail, just the description and the total amount. Fair enough? But I have all these component parts. Right, and remember SKU, you can use SKU for other stuff, and service date, that could be for something else too. You can add that to reports. Okay, I don't have a default class for the groom and board at the item level, though. That field wouldn't be at the bundle item anyway. Yes, you might see something on online payments. I do suggest you're teaching your clients to get set up on this. They can do QB payments for free, and this invoice could be sent online to the customer ahead of time, or maybe a sales receipt or something, and they could just pay by ACH, which is free, and credit card has pricing. What am I saying? It has, it costs to do the cards. the QuickBooks payments itself is no monthly fee. The only fee is really with the credit card fee, keyed-in rate or whatever. Now, down here, and I have the old sales tax method here if I have any taxable, right? So I'm going to use that rate. It will collect sales tax. And if I want to take a discount, I can. And then a deposit, I can also as well. This would be an upfront deposit, if you will. That would also be available too. Now, let me do another quick transaction. I'm going to save this for now. Let me right-click, duplicate, and do another transaction because price rules, very important. And then we'll look at customizing forms. Price rule, then customizing forms. Okay, so I'm just going to go to all lists and price rule, though I could get there from the products and service list as well. This is the one I created for today, Beyond the Basics, BTB 050818. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to edit it. Just created it when I came in this morning before this. So you have it's similar to price rules in it matches more the Premier and Enterprise, not the advanced pricing in Enterprise. That's quantity discounts. That's totally different. You got to pay for that extra. It's just different. But I would just say Premier. Pro price levels. If you're in QuickBooks Desktop Pro, we know it's a fixed percent. Right. This is it could be a fixed percent, which I have 20% decrease. I can do a fixed amount like Pro, or a percentage, or I can do a custom price per item like Premier. So the price rules that are in beta for QuickBooks Online Plus and Essentials are actually Premier, akin to Premier level price levels if your client's using that, right? And what I like is I can choose what customers select individually, or it opens up. Check this out. Get 3 windows open here. If I go to sales and customers, it opens up the customer type list. Like I can actually, and that's a big ask too, big ask with a K. From, I have cat lover and dog lover, and I can assign those to my customers. So you can create customer types, right? But this is a request from many people that you have customer types in QBO, and the way to get it is turn price rules on. Remember, it's in a sales setting. Gear icon, accountant settings, sales, turn price rules on. Your Essentials and Plus clients will have it. So I like customer type because I could just look at, hey, we're just going to do this for cat lovers or dog lovers, but I'm going to do all customers, but still. And I can choose that I'm going to, this price rule is going to impact all services we do today, or we're just having all inventory is 25% off, right? Or all dog and cat toys are 25% off today, whatever. And you can do some rounding. So I think better filtering and certainly ability than QuickBooks Pro on the desktop for price levels. Price rules is a great, what we're trying to do. There's still no reporting on it yet, right? But watch, we'll go ahead and sell the Art Deco cat tree, okay? Because I have pretty much just anybody. So we'll go to sales receipt. Say Christina came in. Sorry if the drawer opens. Oh, good, it didn't. And we'll look at dog and cat toys, deluxe cat tree, right? And notice the rate. So it's the BTB 05, which is today. This is our price rule. You just click the drop-down arrow in the rate field, and I can see the actual price rule that is being leveraged. And I can see the default sales rate, and then other price rules I've had in the past that impacted this item at one time. These might not even be active anymore. They're expired. It would be cool, I know, if we had another column for expired or not, but anyway, you're just going to have 2 tabs up, right? Have the price rule list and this, because there's no real reporting on price rules yet. And if, if they bought, a couple of these, right, so 190.40, that's what the amount's going to be. If I do a transaction journal, it's not going to show the default sales rate. It's just showing the price rule rate that I have, right? So that's price rules in a nutshell, for sure. So speaking of customizing forms, that will impact your product-based business clients also. Go ahead and click Customize. You can get there here, right, as we know, or gear icon, accountant settings, sales, and then there's a button that says Custom Sales Forms, and also under the plus sign in the upper right of QuickBooks Online, the Quick Create, where all the transactions are. Right? There's also customized forms. Nope, sorry, gear icon. Sorry, you guys. What I was thinking. This is what I mean. Yeah, so you can get to customize sales forms right here. Not under the plus sign, the gear icon, or within here, or from a sales transaction. You can only customize estimate, sales receipt, and invoice. Of those that are posting, sales receipt, and invoice. So let's go to customize. It's going to bring up the ones. I can edit the current, which I'll do, or you can do a new style. But what customization will be impactful? Columns you might want to add or group by for product-based businesses. Let's look at that too. And I did save it. I don't know why it asked me that. Interesting. Anyway, you choose what template you want. Okay, if you're doing progress invoicing, you got to have the ARI template. Again, I don't know if you do a lot of progress invoicing with product-based businesses. I guess you could. We could look at that if you use an estimate. But are your product-based businesses using estimates? Maybe someone can weigh in the questions box and say, yes, they are, because I would just think that was more for mostly service-based, right? But I do want to mention the delayed charge form too. So let me forget that one. You can add a logo, but I'm choosing ARI content. That's really where you can turn things on. So I have the summary area or source area, right? And that's Marlo. It's our little toy poodle, about 7 months old now. So here's my form names, and if you scroll down, I can add custom fields. You can add up to 3 custom fields, like pet name, sales rep, pet kind. Just for me, for reporting purposes, you can add it. They'll be in the top part of the form. So we could even do that on this one in particular, right? Do I want to display terms, due date or expiration date? Nah, I don't need that. Billing address, maybe that's default. Form numbers if you want, or custom transaction numbers, and what do you want to call the invoice? So that's kind of stuff in the source area, right? Source area. Okay, and pet name, sales rep. There's no layout designer. I can't really move it around. Now, when you want to get to the target area where the items reside, click that pencil icon. There's a lot there. Do I want to show SKU? Again, I wish I could rename SKU. Okay, but I don't think even doing, you can't really edit labels and widths, but I can't really change the label here sometimes. But SKU you might use for something else, and it might just be something, for you. Do you want to include quantity and rate in the description? Do you want to include the category it's in? Quantity, rate, amount, and then more activity options. Don't miss out on this. Click the little blue link at the bottom left in the content section when you're in the target area of the sales form. This is where you're going to see some other stuff. I can group activity by, like day or week or type. And it's just you want it grouped differently, and I can even subtotal the group. Collapse activity rows. This is for progress invoicing if you want. Okay, no, I'm not really doing billable time in this one. And you can preview what it looks like. Okay, and then the footer is the footer. Not tons here, but if you have an estimate summary and you're doing progress invoicing, it would show the due activity, right? What's due yet? So we covered a lot of that in the service-based business webinar. Anyway, so I have customized that for, and I can put in the pet name. So someone comes in, and Christina comes in again. This will be for Marlo. Sales rep was me, and the pet kind is toy poodle, all of which I could then report on or filter reports by. Expand a text limit, I think it's in the hundreds. Expand the description in the activity section. We'll just do it right now. And again, this would come over from the item. So if I have, they came in and bought, a butterfly swarm toy, pretty fun. They bought 10 of them or something. They got 10, well, this is for a poodle. It's silly. Let me think of something more dog related. Sorry. Dog, leash standard. There you go. Dog attire. Bought one. Bought some more dog attire. I think I have gift basket. There you go. That would be a bundle item, right? All the different Great Dane suit. Medium dog brush. There you go, etc. Poodle sweater. That's the one I was thinking of. So we'll get a couple of those, right? Again, easier to search by categories. Use that. So yeah, the description, if we just, and this is how I usually test when I get these emails because I just don't have really good memory, but I think it's like hundreds. 300 I was thinking. I mean, I'm not going to back and count it because everybody else will just fall asleep here, but not that you're not already dozing off a little, but still, so the description you can, but the thing is I don't think it word wraps well. You know what I mean? You have to really look at that. But yes, you can. The description can be a lot more. It really supports a lot versus the item name is a little more limited in SKU number. I think this is like 10, but description should be hundreds. But it's more about when you're looking at a report, clearly, you might not want to show description column. And then when you're printing out or sending it or something like that, I don't know how well it word wraps. So Sandy, definitely look at that, as you're testing it out. But thanks for that question. But certainly the description. And you want to set these up on default. I should have. Right, so when you're importing your items, or include that, or coming over from desktop, it'll inherit the description at the item level. If they had in desktop, all that stuff is in play and supported. Or when you're just setting up an item, make sure you include good sales and purchase description, right? Because just like in desktop, it just flows over to the purchase or sales form. So I have that sales receipt. I show this, these custom fields, other things you can do. We'll click Save. And then, reporting, I should be able to add. If we go to reports, and I do like, you guys might have the new report center, that's fine. Just look for sales or customer-related reports. I like the sales by product and service detail or by customer detail, because you can add customer and product and service to each one. It's really up to you. But I'm going to do sales by product and service detail. And I can, choose what columns I want to see, certainly here, including, if I show more, I should have pet kind, yep, pet name, and sales rep. I mean, we don't have a way to really track sales reps, and product-based businesses probably want that, but it comes over from desktop into custom field number 2 for whatever reason, and I can still go to like a reports and add the column and even filter by a sales rep. Right? It's not going to show the cost that the sales rep cost me. It's just going to be what was on invoices and sales receipts, but that's just like it is in desktop. It's not any better. It's just that you have a true sales rep drop-down menu, which I like, right? So you can just choose the sales reps. There's a list that you might use for other workarounds in desktop. That's the stuff I'm always missing in QBO, that kind of stuff. So I'd like to have that. Anyway, clients have complained, yeah, the text is tiny, and I don't know about the word wrapping. So I don't know. There's no setting you can do. I think there is a font. So next time they go customize sales form, Sandy, I'm just going back to that question. Sorry if it sounded like a tangent, like what? Forgive me for that. But yeah, some of our clients are saying, yeah, that it's too tiny. There is a font that they can change to the largest font possible. That should impact the description field too. That's when they customize the sales form, whether it's an invoice or a sales receipt. There's a font option. There's only a couple options though for font size. But outside of that, there's no settings that deal with text, unfortunately, or the description field. But thanks for the question. Okay, so when you step off, right, see, so I have Toy Poodle, Marlo, whatever, and then like in the same vein, when you customize a report and go to filter, I can filter by pet name, sales rep, right, pet kind, right? So under, I wanted to show some related reporting moves. Yes, you can filter reports by category or by the custom fields you added to the sales form. I mean, customizing sales forms, no, it's not as robust as in desktop. There's no layout designer, but use what's there. And then products and service, of course, too, I can filter by, particular, product and service, not customer. See? Category. You can look at all cat accessories. Look at all cat and dog toys, cat treats, dog treats, whatever. So categories, I think, is pretty powerful. But if you like sub-items, don't turn categories on. There's nothing wrong with converting from desktop, and it will come over in the hierarchy. Parent-child, sub-item, or parent-item, sub-item, right? Parent-child relationship. Keep it. It's the same thing on what I was talking about yesterday, last week. Well, if you were here and you were doing the service-based business webinar we did, you don't have to use projects. You could use sub-customer. You don't have to use categories. You could do sub-item. It's really up to you and your client. You don't have to change it just because I mentioned it or showed it. It's just that I like it because of the visibility at the item list, and I can do some more filtering on the item list itself and on reports and on fields. But, I mean, if you're quick typing, that's the same thing. Just, again, my goal is to align you on what's available, and then your goal is to, okay, based on what's available, what you decide with your client, we're going to go this route, no matter what I say. Fair enough? I always know that going in. So other reports, real quick, that relate to items. We kind of moved away from inventory for a bit, but you do have when you go to all reports, manage products and inventory, sorry, I did that quickly, you do have inventory valuation detail and summary. That's basically it for inventory reports, but these are the main ones that you want, right? And it's totally based on FIFO. right? So we did the cardboard cafe today. We don't want to sell negative inventory. It causes problems. All that's the same, right? So I have the asset value based on my FIFO cost. We actually call it that, FIFO cost. And then you have the summary report too. And you can do from the inventory valuation summary report, I believe you can do a starting value adjustment. I wish it wouldn't do that. Let's see. Summary. Sometimes you'll see the ability. No, maybe not. I'm thinking it's another report, be a purchase report or something. It might have been the valuation detail. There's a blue link that allows you to create a starting value adjustment, though you can do that from the list as well, right? So summary report, can't really customize summary reports much, as you know, not tons, maybe just looking at a particular category or product. Detail reports are where you can really add tons of columns, right? Different columns and rows and things like that. But you know, because you're doing company financial reports, which are summary, and there's not tons of customization availability. It's mostly at the detail report level. Okay, real quick, let me go into, and that's really the item-based stuff, right? I mean, I didn't mention a delayed charge form, right? This is a non-posting. I have a video on our product video site, which I'll put in here in the chat in a sec. Some people will use this as a workaround for sales orders, but you could use an estimate too. Not that we're tracking current availability, right? We're not. That's Premier and Enterprise, or a third party. That's not Pro and it's not QBO Plus. But a delayed charge is nice. This is mostly for service-based businesses, but a delayed charge is nice if, you know, Christina's going to come in and buy some stuff, but she's going to come in next week. So I just want to make sure I have it. Non-posting, and then it can go to an invoice, which could go to a sales receipt. So I don't really show delayed charge, but some people use it as a quote-unquote sales order or customer order because they're not really doing estimates. That's here too. And you're invoicing, right? Delayed charge goes to an invoice. And based on that first setting I showed you, you can like auto-create invoices based on open delayed charges. And there's a report on that as well. So there's that too. The other thing I wanted to mention as well is recurring transactions, right? So you can set up recurring sales receipts for stuff they're selling, particularly if you want to automate the ACH payment, or set up recurring invoices that might have items on them, right? They're item-based transactions, so remember recurring transactions. It's basically just creating a template and then what you're selling, and they can automatically be sent, or in the invoice case, pick up any unbilled activity. So there's that as well. So I like that too. And then I have, let's see here, sales tax. Did want to show that, the automation of it. I just wanted to add it to this. Conversion, just know that most of the item activity comes over, including with inventory, right? Even your sub-items will come over. You can choose categories after the fact. When you're converting from desktop, there is a pop-up, you've probably seen it, to choose inventory or not, and then the FIFO date, because it's different from average cost to FIFO. It's really with conversion. And of course you can, but let's do the sales tax last. You can import, you know, your items too, products and services. You know, just browse out. I like downloading the sample file. That's what I usually do, and just use their categories. And you browse out. Really easy. Grab your, see, do I have it? Let's see if I did one yesterday. I thought I did one for us. I thought I did. Product and service. Here it is. Yep. So I downloaded the file. You can import items at a fell swoop. We're going to match to what appropriate fields there are. Right? These are basically the columns that QBO is looking at. Okay. Click next. And then it's going to give you a list of everything. And if it's missing an account, you know, you can add it. All right. As of date, quantity, reorder point. It even brings in that stuff for inventory. So you can import. If you're not converting from desktop, but they have it in Excel, you can map the data and import from Excel, non-inventory, inventory parts, even service items, right? And shows the income account, the expense account, the cost, the quantity, reorder point for inventory. Of course, it's going to default inventory asset. You know, this is when you're not converting from desktop because all that comes over. You're not importing. And if you have a list and you're importing, it's just going to add to the list. It doesn't overwrite it. I already tested that one out, right? So there's that. So let's not worry about like converting or that. That's a whole other topic. You know, we have webinars for that. Check out the PowerPoint. Lastly, let me go into my sales tax file because there is, for sales tax, we've got 3 minutes left. Appreciate your patience. Thanks for coming today. And we're going to end with sales tax, the new type automated sales tax that's going out because there is fields related to items. So when I go into taxes, this is what sales tax looks like, and any new clients will have that, right? And you have your sales tax settings. I can go in and add an agency, right? But we're automating it based on your company address, the client's address, the item, and that's where I'm going to go next. We're picking the rates for you. So you have the filing frequency and then the tax period when you set this up. Let me go to the product service list. And you'll see on the, let's just go to the appliance here. I have, for, if it's taxable, I have a sales tax category. This is how we're going to automate it and make sure the right rates are there too. Retail, sales of software, food, grocery, the main sales tax categories that are there per IRS, and then what you sell within that category. And it's all automated. You can't add to this list. I think it's based on the item. Yeah. Now, because I have that, let's go sell that. Sales receipt, and we'll watch the sales tax happen. Because you and your clients, we're all going to be switched to this kind of more automated sales tax. So we'll, again, do a customer, and let's do the New York customer because that's important. They have a New York address. We're looking at that too. And we'll do the appliance. And we'll say they bought, 5. It is taxable. Now, under sales tax, when it turns blue, it's going to auto-calculate it. But I can click into it, and it tells me how we calculated this. New York State, 4% rate. New York City, 4.875. Total sales tax. How do we calculate it? The business address, customer info, which you can choose their exemption on the fly, and then how each item is taxed. Appliance, general clothing, which you can then edit. So based on the category of the item. So that relates to items. So I wanted to make sure you knew most of your clients might still be on the old current sales tax model, right, that you have to really set it up, right? This is more automated based on what you're seeing here, and you can see it, on the sales form, et cetera. And there's some item related sales tax settings to consider when you're setting up an item.